שלום וברוכים הבאים למפגש הרביעי שלנו, הפודקאסט שבו אנחנו פוגשים בווידאו, באודיו, מנהלים מעוררי השראה מרחבי העולם כדי לקבל כלים לעולם ההוראה כאן בישראל. הפעם שימו לב, מוסקבה, לא פחות ולא יותר, גם בתקופה הזו, חינוך ממוסקבה. אנחנו רוצים לומר ערב טוב לרבנית, לגברת דרה גולדשמיט, שלום וברכה.
שלום.
And shalom from Yerushalayim to Moscow to Yolya Yaasinskaya, right? The principal, the Menahelt of Etzchaim School in Moscow.
Shalom.
Hello. First of all, thank you very much for your time, especially nowadays, for taking the time. And we really want to discuss education without current events, without politics. I want to ask you, first of all, about the Etzchaim School. You just celebrated its 30th anniversary, right? In the coming fall. It's going to be the 30th anniversary, 30 years of Jewish education in Moscow. And it's really not something easy. Please share, how did you found the school and why? What was tell us about the first days of this project.
Okay, so my husband and I came to Moscow in the fall of 1989, and we came for 1 year because we
Your husband, Chief Rabbi Pinchas Goldschmidt, the well-known Goldschmidt family.
Yes. So, but then we were just a young couple with 2 little children, and when it became obvious that we'll stay for more than 1 year, we understood that we have to figure out a Hinוך solution for our children. So we said, okay, let's start some sort of a kindergarten, and I'll teach, and we'll train teachers. And we had a program for training other teachers, Russian speakers. It's hard not to think about politics.
Yeah.
But okay, so we started a school. We started the kindergarten. We had 12 children in the beginning of the year, and by June we were at 50 children. The following year we started a school till 3rd grade, and we added a grade each year. The Russian education is complete at 9th grade, and then there are 2 more years for high school for those going to university, which basically rounds out at 11 grades. And that's the pattern of the school, which we have today. We have 500 children, including kindergartens.
So it means that there was a need, definitely. Okay.
Yeah, there was a need. And the idea was to just take in Jewish kids. You know, obviously there were no observant families at that time, but there were many families who wanted to make aliyah, and they were interested in having their children in a safe Jewish environment to learn Hebrew and Jewish tradition. And that's how we started with our student base.
Beautiful. And Yolya, how many years are you in the school? Maybe I should say Dr. Yolya Yaasinskaya. You're like, I would say, a more professional principal that was brought to the school, and you're part of the reason for the great success of Etzchaim. But tell me from your perspective.
Well, I stepped in to Etzchaim 12 years ago. And it meant that I came from one of the best Moscow regular schools. By that time, I had already had my 10 years of being a teacher of English experience and over something like 9 years of the admin experience. And basically, it was my first role as a head. And as soon as I got to the school, I immediately felt a sharp contrast, though it was a regular school in terms of in judicial terms. Why? Because there was this sviva, the Jewish sviva, that made the whole thing very, very different and very much enriching. And I immediately understood for myself. I looked around the educational landscape and I realized that there is no actual experience in Russia or in Moscow to derive the best of experience from. And this is where I was very grateful to Dara, the founder of Etzchaim, who walked me through all these specificities of Jewish tradition. And
by the way, was it
culture.
your first time, meeting Jews and Jewish tradition?
In the religious way, for sure. But which is more important in the Jewish environment in terms of Jewish education.
Yeah.
And since I wanted this project to be absolute success, it was crucial for me to understand and to acquire the knowledge about the best practices of best Jewish schools. And Dara took me on a long journey. We actually had it together when we traveled to America, to best Jewish schools, to London, when we got in touch with so many professionals, dedicated and passionate. In this way, slowly, me as a professional, I was able to collect a number of tools that were progressive, that serve the actual needs of children, both in general studies as well as the Jewish traditional studies, and as a leader and as a principal in terms of leadership management and leadership, which is crucial.
Beautiful. So you prepared a list of, I would say, tips or maybe values or things you learned throughout the years. And let's go over the list you have to share with the teachers in Israel. I'll just mention the fact that now you're serving over 500 Jewish families in Moscow, right? These are the numbers.
Right. Within 12 years, we have grown significantly because when I took over, well, we had around 180 families in school and something around 50 children in the kindergarten.
Great. Okay. So the first thing you wanted to discuss is the word community, in Hebrew, kehila. What does it mean?
Well, the learning community, the school kehila, the importance and the main message of it is the fundamental point connected with the school mission. In other words, why the school exists. To understand and to identify, which is crucial for every school, for every principal, and for every teacher, what your school is associated with. We had a very we did quite a lot of work for that. We're very fortunate to invite a professional in helping schools develop its mission. It was Professor Michael Berger, and together with him and the leadership team, we identified the major goals and the why of the existence of the school and the how. So the why is very evident because we had a lot of secular families along with some religious families. And indeed, it's still up to date. The mission of the school is to reconnect young Jews with their Jewish heritage. The point how is connected to the Jewish values about how we teach, how we address children, how we address teachers, how we address the parent community. And it is based on such Jewish values as derech eretz, simcha, and the major 21st century skill of lifelong learning. And to make it actual, not to turn these words into actual meaning and the ways of behavior and the ways of thinking, it took us a while. Today, these three fundamental values are instilled into the DNA of Lord Ritz Chaim School.
Once again, derech eretz,
simcha, and lifelong learning. Today, in this volatile world, when everything is changing at this fast pace, it's crucial to be able to catch information, to be able to be adjusted, to be able to think out of the box. So this is all connected to your ability, to the students' abilities that we try to develop to learn and to get information, to adapt information, to work with information, to be critical about information.
Beautiful. Dara, first of all, it sounds like Yulya is the chief rebbitzin of Moscow, but please add something to that beautiful first tip tonight, creating a community about when the key values are derech eretz and simcha and lifelong learning, meaning it doesn't end, it's not just the school. Sometimes kids think, okay, it's just the things, the content I have to learn there, but it stays there in the classroom.
Well, I'll just give an example with derech eretz, for example. So if you know the Russian educational system, it's very autocratic, top down. You get the order, you need to get results, and we don't care how.
Yes.
It's almost military type, yeah.
It's very military. And
these are the jokes in Israel about the Russian olim, about the immigrants. Yeah, it's okay.
So we really wanted to, very often people feel disrespected when spoken to in a harsh manner. And it really took a lot of mindful work to show how you can be respectful. I mean, these are the people that you're spending so many hours a day with, and it would seem obvious that we want to be respectful and courteous and calm and patient, and yet it really was countercultural, and it took a lot of work. So I would also, Yuli mentioned working with parents, because we're trying to reconnect young Jews with the Jewish heritage. It's very difficult if you try to teach something and then the children go home and the parents don't know anything about it. So we really put a focus on parents programming. We do a trip to Israel. We've done it 5 times, where we bring moms on the momentum trips. And we do brunches for parents, where we serve a beautiful buffet in a community venue. And we discuss, you know, the different leadership, different psychology, always with a Jewish emphasis and always with Jewish sources, but current psychology. And we get, I would say, 10% or between 10 and 20% of the parents coming to these events, as well as Shabbatons and annual Melava Malka and Hanukkah events and challah baking events.
And excursions to the synagogue.
We did a series of excursions to the synagogue for the children to learn about the history of how you could have a synagogue in Moscow when Jews weren't even allowed to live in Moscow.
Wow.
So who built that synagogue and how did it come to be? So the kids don't, like, we don't, even the teachers didn't even know the history of Jews in Moscow. And to all these kind of events for the children, we also invite parents, and we always have nice showings of parents. So it's a kind of educational approach where we've got to do it with the families so that it can be organic.
It's fascinating. You know, after communism, you have to open the school for the kids, but also a school for the parents. That's how it sounds, you know, that's...
Yes.
And there are lots of challenges to make the learning engaging and relevant and meaningful for the kids. But I'm sure that every school in the world has that challenge.
Yeah. Wow.
I would like to make a little remark in regards of this shaping the parents' learning community, because, well, that's basically Dara's role, because she's an amazing speaker, lecturer. She speaks wonderful Russian. And that made all our parents are in love with Dara. And that basically inspires parents to become true Jewish models for their children. This is indeed a very significant and important work, because this is how we build the fundamentals with which it's much easier to promote the Jewish identity, to develop it, and then basically to get focused about learning, because Jewish tradition is definitely about learning.
Beautiful. Okay. Second, I would say, I don't know, it's more than a tip. It's much deeper than just calling it a tip or a piece of advice. But you mentioned when we spoke earlier, big data. What do you mean?
Yeah, so that's, everybody talks about big data these days in terms of programming and other things. Well, education and educational processes, especially when we want to increase students' performance in every subject, including Hebrew, including tradition, including math, science, whatever. So big data is a great tool as soon as it is used professionally and wisely. What we do in Anshai, we have developed a system of monitoring, first of all, the general tendency, the academic performance of the class. Within a class, with this data, we are able to identify weak links in terms of, let me give you an example. For example, the learning of the English language, right? So children take a test or there is an oral conversation, and this is where we collect the data of, for example, let's say present continuous tense or present perfect tense, the way they know certain phrases and etc. Then we see what we have. Yes, and then this is the tool that helps the teachers, because we send the report to teachers and we indicate, in other words, I can read a map of my class and I immediately see where I as a teacher work well enough, or where I should get focused, what topics I should get focused on around and train kids more. And slowly but surely, it significantly improved the consistency of academic level and ensure its growth, which is important. So
when did you start collecting this big data about your students?
Well, basically, we've been practicing it for quite a while, but well, it actually has turned into a system, I would say, already 3 years ago. And
beautiful.
Today we are already with it, and we use this data not only with teachers, we use it with the parents when we see that children are falling behind for this reason or the other. And the first thing that we start our conversation with, to make parents, first of all, on our side as our partners, right? And in cooperation, we start with just facts, and we invite parents to look at these facts together with us. Beautiful. And then just to brainstorm on solutions, because, well, we always come out of this stance of curiosity. Maybe there is a certain reason why the child all of a sudden starts falling behind, right? And then what we see. So this is, in other words, big data is a jump start for a deeper conversation about each child, because one of the approaches of its time is individual approach, individual tracking, as much as we can afford for each student of its time, right? But I believe that as soon as it is a system, methodologically, systems should work and can be applied and scaled onto any number of children, because I know that in Israel, there are many schools with a lot of children in them, which is important to remember.
Beautiful. What did you want to add, Dara? You want to say something?
No, Dara, by the way, is always very, but I know that every time, well, we have some gatherings or we have something, Dara always starts, how many people turned up? How many kids were engaged? What was the reaction of the teachers and how many of them? So in other words, well, that's the actual logics of data and collecting data.
You like those statistics?
I think it's not,
basic. Yeah.
I could just add something that's not exactly connected to the data, but more to the community question. Initially, the Jewish studies teachers were like a separate staff that did their Jewish thing, and the general studies teachers were a separate entity. And Yulya worked very hard to integrate the Jewish studies staff with the general staff, create integrated lessons around holiday times where you'll have a science teacher working with a Jewish tradition teacher, or a math teacher working with a Jewish tradition teacher to make the Jewish tradition an integrated part of the whole learning process, as well as always offering on Rosh Chodesh and other events, Dvar Torah, and just explanations of the holidays, because obviously the teachers are not familiar with Jewish tradition and Jewish holidays, and they're always coming up. So we invite the teachers to hear a lecture on, on what's going on in the Jewish world, so that they feel part of the Jewish mission. Beautiful,
beautiful. Okay. The third thing you want to share with us, with the teachers in Israel, we discussed the values of the community, derech eretz, simcha, and lifelong learning. We learned something about big data and statistics, definitely important. The way you look at if you're serious, you should look at your school with a serious way, with numbers, with facts. And now what?
And now the question is, based on the statistics, is about how we help our teachers. As soon as we identify certain challenging areas, how well teachers are equipped and armed to handle those challenges, right? And this is where classroom observation, teacher instruction improvement steps in. And we do it by developing and training the leaders of the admin leaders of the school, the veteran teachers of the school, in the coaching style of running the post-conferences and pre-conferences of classroom observation. And the main goal of such an approach is to make teachers actually think for themselves and find their own ways and solutions of how to improve classroom instruction for the benefit of their own class. Let me give you an example. if I'm a veteran teacher, which is the easiest way for me to teach a young teacher after observing a class. Definitely to say, for example, סיוון, that was a nice class. I liked a few things, but I would recommend for you next time to pay attention to those two kids at the back, and to use more visual material and a little bit of audio material, for example. How much סיוון would, how much it would resonate to סיוון, I wonder. Is this actually your idea, feelings? Maybe you had a lot of thought behind that. Maybe there was another plan and another plot for such a lesson. This is why, again, we come from this sense of curiosity, and we invite teachers in the coaching style to become partners when we discuss together. And then the conversation turns into something different. Instead, like סיוון, I noticed two children at the back, being a little bit disengaged. Have you? I'm sure you noticed them. How would you comment on that? And then סיוון starts thinking, did she actually notice them? Oh yes, I noticed those children. You know, that's what I'm challenged with. This time I tried that, or I'm gonna do this. This is the thinking process that where the mentor, the instructional coach, is here to be ready to help and to support with all the knowledge that he has. This is a great buy-in, and this is a great inspiration for teachers to try more and more. And next time when we come, not half a year after, but already next week, to see what's happening and how סיוון is managing with the children at the back, that's what we're going to talk about. And then celebrate together, because Simcha is not only about making the life exciting, it's about celebrating accomplishments, students' accomplishments, children's accomplishments, big and small.
Beautiful. You know, I hear you speaking. I just imagine myself as a teacher in your school. It sounds fun. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. How did you create this system? It's something new. I guess when you started, you didn't have veteran teachers. I mean, it's something you developed throughout the years.
So veteran teachers is it's a system of recruitment, because recruitment is crucial. And you might be very much surprised, but we had to replace quite a number of teachers, because each school requires its own type of teachers, I would say. So we are always looking for teachers who are passionate about education, those who are willing to learn, and those who share the values of our school mission. These are the three principles that we try to stick to. And speaking about this system of coaching, indeed, this is a very thorough process, first of all, that I had to take and acquire for myself. And here again, those were wonderful professionals from the Jewish educational world. From America, I'm happy to send my best regards again to Professor Michael Berger, and also to one of a very distinguished lady, Miss Cheryl Epstein, from one of the schools in Baltimore. Dara's one of Dara's relatives, right?
No, that's
Where'd you take her, Dara?
No, Julia's referring to Baltimore. Since we went to so many cities, Cheryl Epstein is from Philadelphia, but the principal from Baltimore is Mrs. Shore.
Okay, so
Dr. Shore.
You wanted to
because those people like Mrs. Mrs. Cheryl Epstein, so she came to Moscow. She gave classes to our children. She actually coached. This is how we learned about such a common thing as growth mindset. By the way, addressing our respective principles, I would like to highlight again the importance of having this focus, because today the growth mindset idea is everybody is up in the air. But what it actually means, and what we as principals do to actually keep up the growth mindset idea in the minds and in the hearts of our teachers, to excite our students and to have them supported.
Sounds great. Okay, great. By the way, I just want to mention a fact, Mrs. Goldschmidt, your husband opened a yeshiva in Moscow. You have many, I would say, ultra-Orthodox institutions this school is a Dati school, but for kids who come from different types of families, right? I mean,
right. It's a Dati school with kosher food and keeping all the Shabbat and holidays, but we accept all the Jewish children.
Mm-hmm. I understand. So that's also a challenge because when you started 30 years ago, there were no Dati families. Now you have diversity.
Right. So we also have a school for observant families.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So,
this one is not for them.
Right. But we do have some Dati families who do choose our school.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Interesting.
Because
okay.
It's a public school, so a certain standard of education is guaranteed,
mm-hmm.
whereas a private school is
mm-hmm.
private.
Okay.
And a city school is free.
Wait a minute. This school is private.
A city school. It's a city
school. That's for free.
Yes.
Okay.
The dream of all American, Jewish schools that have to charge so much.
That's why it's called Lauder at Chaim. I guess the Lauder family here gives a lot in order to create a free school. That's also such a good school. Okay. So
no, actually, it's actually the government that guarantees this right.
Yeah.
For all the parents of the city.
Wow.
And all the rest of the Jewish organizations, significantly help, and that's how we can promote all those nice things that we offer to our parents and our students that we're talking about.
Beautiful. Okay, the next thing we will discuss is leadership, manhigut.
Right. So, but this is where we are about basically us as leaders, as principals, because that I would say it's a separate management story. I would invite everybody of our listeners to concentrate on the phenomenon of students as leaders. Potentially, if you come to think of it, our students, having developed their leadership skills, will be able to use them, first of all, for developing their own lives in the best possible ways, making them successful, and then being a successful personality in the Jewish world to strengthen the Jewish community wherever they are. So this is why we work a lot with the students in regards of developing their leadership skills. And this is where 7 Habits of Effective People, developed by Stephen Covey, you should definitely know this book, plays quite a significant role, because we teach children these 7 habits, and we explain to children about what it means to be proactive, what it means to set up a goal, what is the criteria of setting up the right goal, and then we invite them to do it together with their class leaders of the certain cohort when they identify the immediate, let's say 2 weeks learning goal and a personal goal for a full month, for example, in terms of your hobby, in terms of sports accomplishments, and etc. And this is where we had, or let's take another important habit, because it's all about social interaction, how we interact with the society. It's again back to Derek Harris, and this is where this principle of win-win and learning about it and understanding this principle is of importance. And this is where we do some role games with children, and we work a lot. Today, with years, because we've been introducing these ideas for quite a while, today we already track the social emotional learning experiences that have been wonderfully developed in America and in Britain, and we use some of the things. In other words, to identify myself, to identify my feelings, right? To identify the feelings of the others, to be able to react properly with Derek Harris and kindness in your heart. Because ultimately what we do, what the school is all about, we don't have any doubts that Chaim is the school that will definitely equip our children with good and sound knowledge, starting with Hebrew and tradition and ending with math, physics, and Russian literature. But that's not the end. The most important thing is what kind of people our alumni become. And this is what we care about. And this is where the leadership skills just help our children to identify themselves better, as well as to understand their social and emotional state of mind, etc. And basically, it is also about tikkun olam. We talk a lot about it with our children. It's not only about you understand yourself, then help the world, stretch out. And we have a lot of interesting projects like this. We have started J-Teen magazine where our students write articles, develop it from start to end. This is our first pilot. We have issued 2 editions and being quite successful, as well as many others. In other words, the school, we see the school as a safe site for students to try themselves in all spheres of life under wise guidance in a very friendly environment.
Wow, sounds really inspiring and uplifting. When we speak about leadership, Dara, when you look at the ideal maybe alumni, do you imagine someone who makes aliyah, who becomes a rabbi, who maybe you just want to prevent, I don't know, assimilation? What are the goals when you see your the kid that after he finishes its time?
Well, just like in every community, you have the movers and shakers, and then you have the people who are coming and participating. So depending on the child, we have some of our alumni have started communities in different parts of Moscow. We have an alumni who is running a huge student organization, university student organization, Olami, in the center of Moscow.
Oh, Olami, yes.
We have alumni who are rabbis. We have many alumni who have made aliyah, served in the IDF.
Anything else you want to add, Dara?
I would just want to add that when you're teaching such a diverse group of students, we're really focused not so much on, oh, what would I like to imagine my ideal alumni? Yes, my ideal alumni is going to start an organization for 300 students. But that's not really what we're focused on. We're just doing the best we can to light up these kids, to light up their Jewish souls, to make them aware that there's a great big world out there. So many people, so many Jews from every part of the world that care so much about them. All of the shlichim that come and teach from England, from America, from Israel especially, because we love the Jewish children in Moscow. And who knows at what point that seed is going to burst forth with beautiful flowers. Could be tomorrow, and it could be in 20 years, but it's there.
And I will tell you even more, because some of the families, some of the children indeed choose this, Dara mentioned that, choose a religious path. Though this is not what is the mission of the school, but the environment and the additional opportunities, because this is what I always tell parents. A regular school ends with a diploma. A Jewish school is always a sea of opportunities. Keep your eyes open, and we're here to help.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Dara Goldschmidt, Yulya Yaisinskaya. תודה רבה, and lots of success, and בעזרת השם שלום ובשורות טובות לכם ולעולם כולו. תודה רבה ובהצלחה, שתמשיכו את עץ החיים. ביי ביי, תודה רבה.
ביי ביי.